Hi, Rob Sinclair from E&S Trading. I'm here today to take you through the Siemens oven that has a most fantastic function for cooking roast pork. So all we have to do today is actually take a piece of pork, understand that its weight, which is 1.6 kilograms, pop it in this dish with a lid on, and then take it with the lid on into this oven here, the Siemens oven behind me, and this will actually cook the roast pork, including the most perfect crackling in the dish with the lid on. So it's a great function, very simple. So what we're going to do now is actually prepare the pork. So all we have to do now is just add a bit of oil to the surface of the pork, which is just going to help the actual salt, which we're putting on next, adhere nicely. The salt, of course, just helps the crackling process on the actual skin of the pork. So we want a good amount of salt across the top. Same as you would do in a normal oven, in an open roasting, dry heat sort of oven. So there we are. Now all I'm going to do is take the lid off this great dish here. This is a French cast iron dish which is made by Le Creuset. So what we have here is the ability just to put a bit of sage beneath the pork to add a bit of flavour to the pork. I've also prepared a bit of garlic, and the garlic can go straight in beneath this sage. And then all we do is just take our pork and place that directly on top inside this dish. So there we go. Now we already know that this is weighing 1.6 kilograms. So the next job is to put the lid on and take the pork straight from here into the oven behind me. And you'll notice I've actually got it on shelf number 2 here, and I know it's number 2 because they're actually numbered on the side of the oven here. So closing the door, the next thing I need to do is actually turn my oven on and engage the control panel. And the next step for me is to actually choose the automatic programming part of the oven. So we'll press pre, which is the automatic programming part. At the moment we're sitting on poultry. We actually want to take that away from poultry and turn to roast pork, of course. So here's my pork setting. My next choice is to actually select what type of pork I'm going to put in the oven. My next step is to actually choose which type of pork I've got. And we actually had a roast cutlet on the bone. So the next step for us is to actually tell the oven how much that pork weighed. And as I said before, this is a 1.6 kilogram roast of pork. So I've actually now educated the oven or input it into the oven 1.6 kilograms. And our next step is to actually go and individually adjust internally the overall cooking process to 1 from the top, which means that the oven is calibrated to go at a certain level, and now we're going to cook to the high level. So I've now chosen 1 from the top in my individual settings, and from there my next step is just to press the I button. You might have saw me before put that on shelf number 2. How did I know that? Well, if I press I now, the actual oven tells me to put it in ovenware with a lid on a wire rack on level number 2. So the intelligence of these ovens is just spectacular. So I now know I was meant to put it on level 2. I've done that, and I'm going to press start. And away goes my roast pork. And we will tell here, it actually tells me that I've got 2 hours and 9 minutes before I take out this actual pork from the oven. So 2 hours has gone by, and we're now going to go back to the Siemens oven and actually take the pork out of the oven and show you exactly how it's come out of this automatic cooking program that we used before. So there we see the actual roast itself is still in the dish, still with the lid on. Use these fantastic telescopic racks to get my hands around the side of the dish, and here we have a completely closed roasting process. The whole time, for the 2 hours of this cooking process, the pork has been in this Le Creuset dish and the lid has been on. So let's take the lid off. So the fantastic result there, plenty of steam. But now let's take the roast pork out and see how the crackle has come out in a closed roasting application. And there we go, have a look at that. There we are, amazing crackle, nice and hard, nice and crisp, out of a cast iron dish with the lid on inside the oven. So of course the big advantage to this process is all of the splattering that's been happening with the pork has been occurring inside the dish up against the lid. So a very clean form of roasting, but also super low maintenance, very easy. Anyone can do this once you know how to use the oven. So let's move the pork out of the road and let's take you through a quick little process of actually making a gravy. So now what do we need here? Let's scoop a bit of the fat off. We don't need that. We want a nice, you can see the result there. We've got a lovely charred result on the bottom, which is going to be the nice base for our gravy. All we need now is a bit of flour. We're going to make our roux in the bottom. Fantastic gravy. So we have a dual function here. We're making a gravy, but also we're actually cleaning the bottom of the dish. So the result is washing up time is going to be reduced as well. So, you know, there's a lot of advantages to this automatic cooking program that we have on the Siemens oven. So there we go. That's the completion of the cooking process. What I might do now is just bring that pork back and just give this a quick little carve so you can see. And of course, the beautiful thing about induction is I can bring my actual cutting board straight back over the top of that cooking area, and I'm not going to actually burn the base of my, wow, this is great. So cutting in, what we'll find here is it should be lovely and moist, and the actual pork will be basically falling off the bone. And that's great. See how moist that is? We've got plenty of steam coming off the pork, and there is a fantastic cutlet of pork roasted in the Siemens oven on the automatic cooking program. So there you have it.